We have a really, I'm really happy to be here today. Once in a while, when I teach, and now I think I'm in my 34th year or something, there are times when I look forward to going to class, and there are times when I really look forward to going to class, and then there are other times when it's just a special experience where I would be nowhere else in the world. And today is one of those experiences. And in order to prepare us for the conversation we're going to have today, and this is our topic, I am going to tell you a little bit about kind of my story and my experience with Islam and Muslims. And I grew up a Christian. I was baptized as a Christian. When I was in my early 20s, when I was an undergrad, I took enough sociology and religion classes to decide that I was, in fact, an atheist. And that felt like a really good decision. And then when I was 26, I was in the mountains in Mexico in an area where where people use ayahuasca and hongos, hallucinogenic psilocybin mushrooms. And this gentleman asked me if I wanted to have mushrooms, and I said, well, of course. And so I did, and that was the moment that I actually experienced God. Whatever God is, and the experience I had, it's not what I was taught when I was going to my Methodist church. It was let me just say I was no longer an atheist. But I didn't know what it meant. What I experienced was not what so many people, believers of God around me, thought. Like, my thoughts were still very different, but I saw something that was really magical about the world. So I continued on with my life and didn't adopt any particular religion at all. Didn't feel inclined to. And it just had lots of what I thought were awesome experiences. I worked with the Catholic Church in Ecuador. That's where I did my PhD research. So I spent a lot of time in the insides of the Catholic Church, met some just really amazing people. And then I took a trip to Israel. And I stayed with the family of a former student of mine. I went with him, and they were Orthodox, living in Jerusalem, very Orthodox. So I had the whole Orthodox experience for 2 separate weekends living with this Orthodox family. Just how awesome of an opportunity that was for me, just to have those experiences and engaging them, and lots of really just cool experiences, right? But I also engaged Islam in a direct way for the first time. Well, I had had many experiences as a young man, Muslim friends, and had been to a mosque here in the United States and so on. This was the first time I really engaged Islam. So I went to Palestine. So I go from Jerusalem, from Israel to Palestine, and I got comfortable just sort of going back and forth and referring in different ways and just learning how to talk. And one day I remember being at the Western Wall, and if you know anything about, we'll come back. We'll talk about Judaism later in the course, but this is one of the most holy places in Judaism, if not the single most holy place, because it's the wall that's still standing from the temple that was built by King Herod, and before the birth of Christ. And right behind it is the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and that's the third most important, holiest place for Muslims in the world. And so, I went one day, I'm here at the wall, praying at the wall, and then I go to Al-Aqsa Mosque and pray at the Al-Aqsa Mosque. And then later, the next day, I went and touched the tomb of Jesus. 2 different tombs, by the way, in Jerusalem. I wasn't sure which one was the real tomb, but for one, I had to pay $2 to touch it, which I thought, WWJP, what would Jesus pay? But it was all good, right? And so you just the energy, right? But I met Muslims for the first time, really met Muslims, and was just blown away by, just as I was with Jews and the Jewish people with whom I was in contact and I engaged, and I was struck by the generosity. Same with Muslims. And So then, a few years later, I went to Turkey. And this is the Blue Mosque. I mean, I was just there actually again in December, but this is just, you just can't even imagine the grandeur and the beauty of this place. And I stayed right across the street from it. And it was just really an experience of being in a fully Muslim country and having lots of experiences that were, one that I was meditating in the Blue Mosque, and this is the inside of the Blue Mosque. And I didn't realize that people were lining up behind me. And, you line up standing next to each other. Maybe later in the semester we'll do it. We'll talk about it. But so then I was deep in meditation, and I felt somebody tap me on the shoulder. And this person said, hey, line up. And so I couldn't leave at that point because I was surrounded by people who were preparing for the midday prayer. And so I just said, okay. And so I stood next to them and I said, here I go. I'm going to pray as Muslims pray. And I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to just follow what everybody else is doing, and I'm going to do it. And it was just an awesome experience. And when I got finished, I felt that was really cool. And so I went that evening, or the next morning, I met a gentleman. That evening I went to seek out Sufis, and Sufism is like a spiritual, very highly spiritual, ethereal sort of way of seeing Islam. And Sufis they're the ones that do the whirling dervishes, right? They pray, and sometimes you see them, and one hand is pointed down toward the earth and the other toward God, and they wear a big cap that represents their own tombstone. And the goal of Sufis is to destroy the ego, which is the goal of all religions. And then they twirl really fast, and they go into a trance-like state. But it turns out I knew it was sort of a theatrical thing. So I met this old man on the street, and he turned out he was a religious scholar. And I told him I was on a quest to meet real Sufis. And he said, meet me here tonight at 5 o'clock, and I'll take you there. And so at 5 o'clock, I jumped in a cab with this man, and we sped through the streets of Istanbul, and we got to Old Town, Istanbul, and we get out, and we go into this house, and I go up these steps in this really old building, and basically I'm walking in a circle like this, because it's just these circular steps, and I walk, and I walk, and I walk, and we get to the top, and there's a door, and he knocks on the door, and we walk in, and there's a gentleman sitting right directly in front of us, sitting just peacefully in this way. And he's introduced me. And now this gentleman didn't speak English, and I didn't speak either Turkish or Arabic. So I sat down in front of him. Now he's sitting there, and I'm sitting here, and we can't talk to each other. But we're sharing energy. And this man is just powerful. And I'm feeling all the love and the connection. And I'm sending love and connection. And we had this just awesome experience of connection. It lasted about an hour. And it turns out that we spent most of that hour just giggling because we were connected as two souls. And so he says, repeat after me. And the old guy who spoke some English said, hey, he wants you to repeat after him. I didn't know what he's saying, but I knew that's what he was saying. So I did. And now he switches to Arabic. And I say what he tells me to say. And then we said it again. And basically what I said was, there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. And that's what you have to say to become a Muslim, fundamentally. And I said, and so when he finished, he said, okay. And he gave me the name Suleiman. And that's my Muslim name. And he said, now you are a Muslim. And I said, awesome, I'm a Muslim. I'm a Christian, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Buddhist. I spent time in a Buddhist monastery. I'm an atheist. But now I get to be a Muslim. So that was awesome. So then he tells me that I have to give up any belief I have in evolution, which meant, okay, I'm not really a Muslim because I can't give that up. But nonetheless, it was good. The next night I come back, by the way, so here's his photo. This is him. The next night I come back and they share a dinner with me with all of his team. We had a Sam의, and that's a ceremony for Sufis. And the most magical experience of life, it's just the love and the connection. You just can't even hardly imagine it. So since that time, I've had many opportunities to connect with Islam all around the world. I've traveled to, I think, 6 or 7 primarily Islamic countries. A couple of them, I was in Qatar 10 times, I think, in the Emirates 3 times. I've been in Turkey a few times. And, here I am with the Ministry of Higher Education and from Pakistan, right, the team. We were doing some work together. And here, this is Lori here with a team of students we were working with in Doha, in Qatar. These are Qatari students. That's me with the Queen. This is me with the Queen of Qatar, Sheikha Mossa. So I've had lots of opportunities to really engage at multiple levels. This is our team. This is our Afghan team. This is Rafi, my Afghan partner. This is Hasib, the second partner. Some of you probably have met Hasib. Some of you have probably met Maliha if you've had Afghan dialogues. So these are all students we were meeting in New Delhi. These are all students, people from Afghanistan. They're all Muslims. Rafi, by the way, you'll meet Mr. Rashidi because where is Mr. Rashidi? He'll Skype into class. There's Mr. Rashidi in the back. But Rafi is a manager at the Afghanistan Independent Bar Association. So he's the one that's writing laws on the books in Afghanistan. Just awesome, awesome, awesome human beings. The love, the connection, just, oh my gosh. Come forward a little bit. I get a call from this guy, and he's a former student in class from about 8 years ago. And he's been traveling around the world teaching English in Taiwan and in Colombia and all over. He was in Italy. He sends me a message. He says, hey, I'm going to Iraq. I'm going to teach English. I met this guy, this team, Muslim peacemakers, and I'm going to spend some time there in Najaf, Iraq. And I said, really? Awesome. Be in contact with me because that sounds like a great experience and it might be something that would be really valuable for other people. And so he said, he sends me a photo with him with this gentleman here. And this is the guy who started the organization in Najaf. And Sami Razuli. And so I start communicating with Sam의. And then we start having dialogues with students in Najaf, between Penn State students and students in Najaf who want to talk to Americans. And it's just what a cool experience. Once again, just this connection, right? Connection between people who normally wouldn't have that connection. And so then, in December, I went to Iraq with Lori, and we met Sam의. And Haider is a student and a co-worker of Samy's. And so they came up to visit us. And just meeting this gentleman was just one of those moments when, I'm going to be connected to this human being forever because he's just that kind of person. And so, as it turns out, Sam의 is back in the United States. And I said, hey. He said, why don't I come to Penn State and say hello? And I said, why don't you come to Penn State and say hello? I'd love to have you come into class and talk to my students about Muslims and peacemaking and what you do and just have them meet you because you are really just such an awesome, beautiful soul. And so, class, welcome to Sam의. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh.
Assalamu alaikum. May peace be upon you.
And
thank you so much.
Wait, hang on.
Sam.
We have to respond. Can you teach the class what they should say in response?
Oh, yes.
This is a perfect way to start out.
Well, this is the way how Muslims greet each other and greet foreigners, people they never met. Assalam, it's peace. And I assure you that the religion of Islam, the term Islam, is derivative of peace, salam. And Islam means submission. If I am a Muslim, I am a submitter. Submitter to whom? To salam, And Salam is one of 99 names of Allah. So any Muslim, there is a theory said everybody is a Muslim. Whether you embrace Islam or not, you are a Muslim. How? Because since you are born as a submitter to peace or to the Creator.
To peace.
So you're a Muslim. Anyway, let's do it together. To start greeting, you go, Assalamu, everybody. Assalamu, once more. Alaikum. So, and that's mean, may peace be upon you. And the response would be, Wa alaikum assalam. That's so easy. So, people...
You know, Christians have the same thing. Like in the Catholic Church, we say, during the Mass, we'll say, and peace be upon you, and then the person will respond, and also with you. It's the same thing. So it's not really strange to anybody. And in Jewish ceremonies, it's the same thing. Yep.
I agree. So, as the wonderful teacher here, Sam Richards, introduced me, thank you so much, Sam. Again, my name is Sami Rasuli. My wife, Fatima, is Sunni, if you wonder. And I'm Shia, so my kids are sushi.
Listen, can we explain that? So in Islam, you have sort of two different sects of Islam, Shia and Sunni. So that's the sushi. Yeah.
Right. So everybody knows what sushi is, but I don't like sushi. Now, my wife, the Sunni, when she prays 5 times a day, she directs herself to Mecca and start praying by crossing her hands like this. While I am the Shia, I direct myself to the same Kaaba, Mecca, and pray 5 times a day, but I don't cross my hands because I'm Shia, so I just let my hands on the side like this. Now, the sushi kids came up with something Darwinic, like according to Darwin. They developed their gesture. When they pray, they go like this.
Yeah.
So one for dad and one for mom. That's a peaceful approach.
Yeah.
Sam, 2001 was a significant year. But prior to that, in the 80s, when I was a young man, Saddam Hussein addressed us, the Iraqis, in an attempt to Ba'athifize the whole nation of Iraq. Ba'ath is the philosophy of his political party then, and meant Renaissance, the Arab Renaissance, to be born again. So he thought every Iraqi be Ba'athi. So he addressed us and said, if you're not with me, you're against me. Then I felt there is no room for me in Iraq. I wasn't against Baathism, but I prefer to be free more than embrace any political agenda. So I decided to leave. And I left Iraq, ended up in Minneapolis. So in 2001, June 21st, I took the oath to protect my new country by choice,
The United
the U.S.,
States.
and became American. Thank you. So I finally achieved my dream and became American. I was so happy at that day. I went home. The family was happy. My wife was preparing the Iraqi meal plus the American pie with many Iraqi flags and American on that pie. One of my kids, the youngest, Tariq, he approached me and he said, "Dad, congratulations, you're American now." "Yes, and you too, Tariq." He said, "Dad, remember, when you be American, it's not about passport or voting for your next president. Culturally, you are entitled by culture to use your middle finger too." "What?" I asked. He said, "Dad," he was 7. He said, "You always in the past, you said we are Muslims. We don't use the middle finger in the school or in the street or anywhere else in the society. That's not allowed, but not anymore. You're American now, so please, Dad, can I use my middle finger?" Well, it's about democracy to be American, so I told him, "Well, go ahead." And he gave me the finger.
Yeah.
Now, the other two, older than him, they were waiting in the corner. They didn't know what will be the outcome. When Tariq asked me this question, they saw Tariq, gave me the finger, they gave me the fingers too, from a distance. Now, the mother was in the kitchen, came running, forgetting about that American pie and the Iraqi meal, and she gave me 2 fingers. I realized why she did that, but I never grasped why the kids did that. Anyway,
You are truly a man of peace.
well, I allow that to happen in my house, believe it or not. That was in June 2001. August 2001, the St. Paul Minneapolis magazine, important publication in Minnesota, featured me right on the front page, front cover, with a red fez, white shirt, red apron, because I was running a restaurant, bakery, and a grocery. It's Middle Eastern. So that really made out of me a celebrity and star. And all of a sudden, people come from all over the state on my signature, building lines and lines. And I went to buy a copy of that magazine for myself. I couldn't find it. It's already gone. And here, a phone call came. It was a female voice. I never knew who she was, but she said, "Hey, look at you. You are not handsome only, but you're also sexy." I couldn't say anything because my wife was next to me. So I said, "Thank you, bye-bye," hang up. That celebration of me being on the cover of most important publication in Minnesota was a real gift. And I didn't know how it happened, because the photographer and the interviewer, they interviewed the whole 17 blocks of international cuisine, including my place. But then I knew what was the story. One of them came with his wife one day, dined at my place, and they just really realized that they didn't have their wallet with them or purse, no money. So I let them go without paying because they were from the neighborhood. And that was a big impact on them. And they said, we should pay Sammy back. I didn't know about the story, but they came later and paid it, but they decided to honor me with that cover. So, but that celebration took weeks, and then all of a sudden, September 2001, 11 of that month, you know what happened? The 12th, I didn't want to go to work. I just wanted to stay home and forget of operating that Sinbad's. The operation was called Sinbad's, the sailor. My wife said, no, Sammy, you have to go. We cannot afford, this is the only income. And you don't have anything to do what happened yesterday. The kids also said, Dad, you better go. So I went there, was late. I talked to Hayat, a Lebanese manager who managed the place. I told her, hey, I'm not here. I'm going to go with Tony in the back, baking. Take messages if anybody come and ask for me. So I went inside, in the back, way in the back, where Tony was, Tony, her husband. So they are from Lebanon, Christian. About noon, she came running, said, Sammy, there are two ladies crying. They ask for you. Please, it looks like important. I wish nothing happened to your family members. Would you come out and talk to them? So I went out. From a distance, I realized those two women, long-time customers of mine. I don't recall their name, but I approached them gently and I asked them, what's going on? Why you're in tears? They said, we need a couple minutes, Sammy, to talk to you. Yes, please sit down. They sat down and they said, last night we saw in the news a Mexican guy was chased simply because he was tanned like an Arab and killed in New Jersey. And another guy, Sikh, with big turban, a restaurateur like you. This guy was killed in Arizona, in Phoenix, Arizona, while he was working. And we thought of you. By the way, we are Jews from St. Louis Park. We've been here for a long time, customers of you, and you are like our brother. So this is our address, names, and a key of our house to offer you and offer your family members a safe haven, not to be hurt. Would you accept that? So I broke down and I thought of, wow, what a civic lesson. Hayat, the manager, the Christian Maronite Lebanese, was behind me listening. I looked at her, she was in tears too, and I asked her, please, would you prepare some food for us. So we share what we have. Of course, the food was already there, buffet $5.99, all you can eat. In a minute, the food was there. Asked Hayat to sit down, a Muslim, Christian Hayat, and the Jews. We were sharing the food together. Not only that, sharing our hope and our thought how to get out of this miserable time. So we decided to form a Jewish, Christian, Muslim dialogue where we can meet once a week or bi-weekly or at least once a month, and most importantly, to bring our kids with us to watch us and see how we accommodate each other, respect each other, and love each other and share what we have together. And it did go perfectly, and after that we started hearing about lots of similar activities. Organizations call themselves interfaith dialogue, but in our case was interfaith action, because right after that I went to St. John's Church at 46th and 3rd Avenue South and registered as a Muslim, a member of that church, and started attending the service. At the time of being there, I'm a Christian. When I go to the mosque, I'm a Muslim, or to the synagogue, I'm a Jew or Buddhist, as you put it beautifully just a few minutes ago. So, you remember when Saddam tried to pacify us and telling us, if you're not with me, you're against me? I left the country, I ended up here. Then I heard George Bush from the ground zero addressing the whole world and asking, do you hear me? Hear me now. And he said the same thing Saddam said. If you're not with me, you're against me. I said, oh boy, where should I go now? So that was 2001. 2003, the invasion of Iraq happened, and actually a war started from one party against the other party. And I felt Samey, the American who took the oath, started attacking Samey, the Iraqi who was born in Najaf, Iraq. So I became sick. My food became less, couldn't sleep anymore enough. My performance at the work wasn't always, I'm not there, home trying to sleep, but not. Then decided to go back. To go back like a salmon upstream, but salmon, as you know, they go to die where they were born. I didn't want to go and die there, but at the same time, a friend of mine who was Jewish too said, Sammy, you always wanted to build this beautiful bridge between two countries, Iraq representing the East, the US representing the West. So those two ends need to be maintained. You go there, but please come back. That's why I'm here.
So you are now.
He said that was awesome.
What do you?
No secrets.
So tell us what you do. And we have 5 minutes before we have a guest.
Well, as a result of what happened to Iraq, the invasion, I would like to report you what is the situation now in Iraq. And this is a report done by Human Rights Watch last year. There are 3,400,000 Iraqis who left Iraq as migrants and are scattered in 64 countries. There are 4,100,000 internally in Iraq being displaced. 1 million of them and 700,000, they live in tents poorly. There are 5,600,000 orphans. Their ages between 1 month and 17 years old. There are 2 million widows. Their ages between 15 and 52 years old. 6 million Iraqis are illiterate today, and Iraq, the cradle of civilization, very rich country, should not have those massive number of illiteracy. In 1975, Iraq was zero of illiteracy. At that time, by a report came out of the UNESCO, United Nations, but not today. Anyway, the list goes on. The poverty line is about 35%. People, family, an average family cannot make $1 a day. And the labor, child labor, many. And street kids are many. The drugs, the illnesses and diseases. Some diseases we don't know, but important diseases are cancer and birth defect. Also, hepatitis A and B because of non-drinkable water. Water is contaminated and yeah. So the list goes on. But we are not sitting down and watching as the organization, Muslim Peacemaker Teams. We decided to do something, and we've been doing many projects, but the most important project that been doing it for the last 2 years, we call it English for Reconciliation. We decided to invite the so-called infidels to meet so-called the terrorists. And when they meet halfway, sit down and share that bread and looking in the eyes, they found themselves nothing but brothers and sisters. So far we have more than 20 visitors who came from the United States and Great Britain to visit Iraq, participated in the program to learn about the Iraqi culture and the Islam as a religion and how it's practiced and beyond. So one of those visitors, we are lucky to have him from you guys. He was 2 years ago sitting there. Then he came to Najaf, stayed 4 weeks. Then he returned and he's sitting here. Please welcome Rafael Prado. I would like to invite him to talk to you about his experience when he was in Najaf for 4 weeks.
Thank you, Sammy. Yeah, so I actually took this class last semester, and I heard in the same exact class that you guys are listening to, I heard Dr. Richards talking. Hearing about this type of work is much different than experiencing it. I was certainly interested when I heard about it the first time. I came up to him right after class. And so he connected me with Sammy here, and I knew what Sammy I knew what he was doing was truly something special. So I was born in '98, and so people from that age were probably the last group of people to know anything about or have any memory about the 9/11 attacks. And I didn't know, I couldn't remember, but I know a few classmates of mine could remember. I remember my grandmother was in a sling. I was running around town saying, my grandmother got hurt in the attacks. It wasn't true. I was just running around telling people. But that just shows that I grew up in this age of Islamophobia. I didn't know why I was supposed to be afraid of Muslims. I didn't know why Iraq was very bad. I was just told these things. I saw it on the TV. I saw it facial expressions from the people I talked to, and I'm the type of person to always want answers. I'm very stubborn in that way. So whenever I came across this opportunity to work alongside Sammy, I couldn't let it pass. And
So
yep.
I have a question. How were you treated?
How was I treated?
Yep.
Almost like a celebrity over there, quite frankly.
What do you mean? Can you give an
So
example?
I would meet people, and as soon as they figured out I was American, they would say, "Oh, thank you very much. God bless you. You know, thank you for visiting us." There were some restaurant owners who wouldn't even take our cash. They would say, "Can I just have a picture?"
Meaning, if you went into the restaurant,
Yeah.
as long as you were whoever you were with, they wouldn't take the cash. Yeah.
A young man from Great Britain, from UK, he contacted me and expressed his desire to come and participate in the program. I helped him to get the visa and everything, and he was ready to come, but he was 18. So his mother said, "Oh no, you cannot go." He called me and said, "Sammy, my mother is not on board with me. Please, what should I do? I'm ready to come." So I thought about it for a minute, and I didn't want to talk to his mother because I'm biased. I am the one who arranged everything and brought the program to life. So I asked the other visitors who came from the US and UK to write her. And all they did and told her about the great experience they had, except one woman told her, "I'm agreeing with you 100% not to send your young son, 18 years old young son, to Los Angeles. Because we hear almost every other day there is shooting, whether in California or somewhere else. But in Iraq, I've been in Iraq a couple of months. I'll come back again and again." That was great email she sent to the mother. Then the mother agreed, and the young man came and visited and ended his term. We had old people, middle-aged people, and also young, as you are. So this is an opportunity, excuse me, Sam, to invite you to consider coming. We have some manuals and information.
I have them here, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay. First,
Yep.
did you pay? Do you live with this guy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
For free?
for free. I just
He
had to
fed
figure
you?
out how to get there, and he gave me 3 meals a day, gave me a nice place to sleep.
Yeah.
It was free.
And how like were you ever afraid at any point or?
No, I was never at one point afraid. I was never at one point afraid. That's one of the common questions I have been asked since my return.
Yeah.
Was it safe there? Yes, it was very safe. I never felt uncomfortable.
Did you put on weight? I told you. You'd
I
probably put on
did.
10
I
pounds.
put on 10 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they don't stop. They don't feed.
No, no.
Iraqis will just feed you to the
Yeah.
end. Yeah. No,
It's all right because
terrible.
we pay for the gym
That's
here, so y'all
your.
better be going
That's
to the
actually.
gym anyways.
That's your strategy, right? We're just gonna. Feed
I didn't
Americans
know he
to
put
death.
10 pounds.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, you look fine," and I was like, "I don't know."
Yeah. So how? Yeah, I think what you said about the generosity is really, really, and what did? Yeah, the generosity is the thing that just stands out.
So the way I see it is they're very community oriented. They treat each other like neighbors. It's not here in the U.S. Whenever you see maybe perhaps a homeless person or you see someone who maybe doesn't identify with your own identity and you kind of stay sheltered away, you don't reach your hand out, you leave the door or the screen closed. I didn't experience anything similar to that over in Iraq.
I think one of the things that I think I told you, and I often tell people is, look, when you think about Iraq on the news or a conflict zone, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, whatever, it doesn't matter the area. It's in the middle of a conflict, and so now it's a little different in Iraq because things have settled down, certainly in Najaf. But when you say the community orientation and you have to. What I tell people here is you have to imagine the United States in the middle of a civil war. People would not be really nice to each other. We'd be looking back, and other people from the outside would be looking at the United States saying, what's going on? What's wrong with those people? They're so crazy. They're this and they're that, as they said during our Civil War and other times of strife. So, hey, I want to just bring in, hey, Jeff, are we ready? I just want to look who we have. Oh.
Hey guys!
Hey,
Surprise, Sammy!
Maram, how are you?
Are you doing good? Good.
Great to
It's an
see
honor.
you. Wait, this is the camera right here. So, lovely to see you. You remember this guy?
Yeah!
All right.
Hi, Prado!
Hey, how are you?
She remember him, but not me.
Yeah.
Hi, Sammy! Surprise!
Listen, so, how many of you, who met Maram this morning in a dialogue? Some of you had a dialogue with Najaf. Bro, you did? Yeah? Did you talk to her? Dude, just come up here real fast. You got to say hi. Because it's twice in one day that you get to speak with somebody in Iraq. Hey, and then just real fast. And then Maram, I have a few questions for you, okay?
Okay.
I have to say that Maram is an American, culturally, she is American 100%, but she never left Iraq.
Hi.
She's feminist, she is vegan, she is all above.
Wait,
And she is the best teacher at my school.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look
It's
how
an
she
honor.
is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes.
what did you talk about in the, what's your name, by the way? Will. Yeah. Do you remember Will, Maram? From this
Yeah, I
morning?
remember him. Yeah.
What did you talk about today? Talk in the mic.
Want me to talk about this?
Nah, you can talk to. Yeah, talk to them.
So I was at the one at 10:55 this morning. They asked us like questions for like how like we viewed like alcohol and like how they did it. So like we were talking about how
Smoking.
And
Smoking, yeah.
we were talking about like alcohol in Penn State compared to like alcohol there, and how like cigarettes there are like more popular than like smoking cigarettes with our friends here. Like we were talking about how like weed is more popular here than like smoking cigarettes with your friends, and they said like alcohol is like almost like illegal there, so like they don't really like partake in that.
So, and how was it to talk to Iraqis?
It was pretty cool. Like I was just scheduling my last one, like so it was cool to talk to him.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else we talked about. They said how like they were talking like some of them tried like their first cigarette like 10, 11, 12 years old, and how it was like a social gathering, like how kind of like we drank alcohol was like a social thing, but like
Yeah.
smoking cigarettes for them was kind of like more common.
Yeah.
So they went around the table like asking like all their colleagues like what time they first like tried their first cigarette. And like
Yeah,
they
very
asked
cool.
us the
We
same
talked about the
question.
orange guy.
They asked us the same question. Like none of us had really done it, so that was kind of different.
Yeah, very cool, man.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yo, thanks, man.
We talked about Trump also.
Yeah. Yo, so Maram, listen, I have a couple questions
Yeah.
for you. How did you learn English so well? Because as Sammy said, you never left Iraq.
I am self-taught. I taught myself English.
How?
Yeah.
Where?
I did it by myself. Thank you. Like using the internet, watching movies, and I also have Americans and British friends.
And do you watch American television?
Yes, I do.
What are your favorite
I like
shows?
Saturday Night Live.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What else?
The show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what
night
other
show.
shows do you like?
Ellen's show.
Yeah? Dude, that's because
Yeah.
you're a feminist. Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, so I have a quick thing. What do you think is the coolest thing about having Americans like Rafael come over to Iraq and spend time with Iraqis? Or what do the other students say? You say and the other students. What's the coolest thing about having Americans there?
Students are really curious to get to know American culture, and it's a really eye-opener experience for them to talk to an American face-to-face and to really break stereotypes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are some of the
Yes.
stereotypes that that Iraqis have?
Like they think Americans all the time. They party all the time. They drink a lot of alcohol. Yeah, and they have like dysfunctional families, stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you mean just the standard, right?
Yeah.
Wait, what about sex? What do they think about Americans and sex?
Like they have sex casually. They like one night stand. They like that, stuff like that.
Wait, casually or constantly?
Constantly. They're like sex craze.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Not.
Yeah.
Well, not in this
So it's
classroom
awesome to be
anyway.
here. Thank you for inviting me, Sam. Thank you
listen.
it's a great opportunity to be here.
Okay. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What are just some of your hopes as a young Iraqi woman? Just your personal hopes for your future.
For my future, or the future of Iraq, or the future for everybody?
How about the future of Iraq first?
Well, I really hope in a few years, we separate religion from politics. That would change the situation in Iraq. Separating religion from politics in Iraq would change everything, I think.
Yeah. And how about for you?
For myself?
Yes. What are your dreams for you, Maram?
I would like to travel the world, learn French, adopt a puppy. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, wait. You want to adopt a puppy? Wait, we
Yes.
have a puppy here. Hang on a second. Let me show you. We have a class puppy. Hold on.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh.
Yeah. Wait, hang on. Actually, I'll show you. Let me just show you this shot here, because you can get you and the puppy at the same time. Isn't that awesome?
Yes, it's awesome.
Hey, so listen, I have another question. Could you, imagine, say, Rafael here, or anybody else who would be interested in coming to Iraq, what's the one thing that you would want to show them more than anything?
I like taking them into tours because every Friday we go on trips, and they would have amazing experience going to Baghdad, going to Hilla, to Babylon. They would meet many people, meet many friends. They will have an amazing time, and many of my American friends always say it's an eye-opener experience for them coming to Iraq. It breaks many stereotypes. Toward Iraqis.
And how is it for young women? If they, say young American women want to come over and spend time with you, how is that for them?
They would spend amazing time here, of course. Yeah, same as men, no different.
Yeah, same
Nothing.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool. It would be really nice, I'm going to say this, if you could come to Penn State and visit us.
Yes,
Okay.
we will work.
Thank you.
No, we could help make that happen. That would be really cool.
Thank you.
I'd feel honored if
Thank
you
you
would
so
come.
much for having me.
Oh,
It's my honor.
nice. I love your poster, by the way. Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, does anybody have a question for Maram? Real fast, and then we're gonna. Who has a question? Somebody's got to have a question. Yes, bro. Come up here really fast. Does anybody else have a question? Really fast. We'll ask a couple. Or for Sammy, just come down really fast. Wait, hang on. You know what I mean? Hang on, bro. We can just do it from right there. Here it is.
So I was just wondering how Iraq is I don't know, getting used to democracy, I guess, because they had Saddam Hussein for a while. I don't know. So how is the culture there getting used to it?
I think the whole democracy thing is just a facade. In reality, we don't have democracy since we have militias and Islamic parties. We don't really have democracy. So,
All right. Do you think? How do you think you could? Do you want to fix that? And how do you think you can? I guess.
Maybe.
I think young people are starting to realize that having Islamic parties will not help them at all, and they're changing and they are open-minded. I think with young people, everything will change in few years, hopefully.
That's
Totally.
good.
I'm going to show you
Yeah.
a couple photos of Maram. Here, you'll get a real sense of that. Anybody else have a question? Yep. Anybody? Cool. Any young women would want to have a question for her? Come on, man. How an awesome opportunity. Anybody have a question? You got it? Yeah. At the top, man. I have a question. I have one for you. By the way, I'm just going to say it. Here, put me in the camera so she can see me. All right? Right, put me in this camera. Hey, what's it like being a feminist in Iraq?
Well, I am a human rights activist, and I conducted many lectures about feminism, and that's how I met Sammy Rassouli. I was giving a lecture about feminism, and after the lecture, we talked about my lecture, and I thought he's an awesome person. He's my favorite person in Najaf. Yeah. So I talked publicly about feminism with people, and I had many debates about feminism.
Yeah, he is an awesome person. Yeah, bro, in the back.
Thank you. So I have a quick question. How welcoming is the Iraqi culture to outsiders, like international people? Is it really easy to kind of fit in? And how big is the cultural language breaking that barrier from speaking English or a different language to going to Iraq? It's easy to communicate there?
Iraqis love to host people, and when they have a guest, they try to do everything to make him happy. So language was not a barrier for Americans when they come here. And many people speak English, so yeah.
So can you respond to that also?
Yeah, something I noticed that's not common here is whenever you meet someone new, they often go in for a hug and a kiss on the cheek. And if you were to do that here, it's a little bit odd. You just walk up to some random person, just kiss them and say hi.
Yeah.
I got to spend about an hour and a half with this family outside of the classroom in a trip. I forgot where we went to, but we were at a mall at the time, and they thought I was Christian, and I had said probably 4 words to them, and they invited me over to go have a meal with them. And so I went over with them. I had my meal, and they gave me a gift. They gifted me a keychain with a cross on it, and they said that, you know, there's nothing really different about both of us, right? They weren't Christian, I was, and they're very welcoming. They're very welcoming.
Wait, hang on. So let me get this straight. So they invite you over to their house.
No, it was at the mall.
Or they're at the mall.
Yep.
And you're sitting down. They're just assuming you're a Christian. They go and they buy a gift for you and give it, and it's a cross.
Yep.
Assuming you're, exactly, man. See, this is the thing. This is what this class is about. It's just seeing the world in such different ways. And we would do that the same thing with Muslims, right? Like, it doesn't.
Well, you showed them the third important holy shrine, Al-Aqsa Mosque. Actually, you know, and many of you and your parents, Americans, Westerns, they head to the Holy Land. And Holy Land is known all that area, the Middle East. It's Holy Land not because about that shrine, believe me. That shrine is symbolic for the people. The people are holy because there are Christian, Sabian, Jews, Muslims, and others. They live together and they respect each other. So that's the holiness of the relationships. And the class today is about race
And culture.
and culture and how a relationship.
And, I wanted you to speak to this. So yesterday, on Tuesday in class, I said, if it's on the news, it's rare. Anything that makes the headlines on the news, it's rare.
Of course. Because our forces, the American forces, and now I'm talking as an American, our forces are across the globe, more than 800 military bases. Why? This is not about democracy, who said here, to democratize the rest of the world. It's to control. It's about what's the against democracy?
Yeah.
Imperialism. It's about imperialism. To go there and control. So when you go to Afghanistan or Iraq or Libya, you have first to demonize the people. Give them all kind of names, label them. Then you send your young people, men and women in uniform, to be able to kill them because they are already demonized. And wars about not to be victorious. It's about an endless pain and destruction. And this goes on and on and on. When Trump tried to meet Taliban, I think that was the right thing to do, to meet them. But Reagan met the Taliban in the 80s, always, and Ford went to, not Ford, but the
Rumsfeld.
No, the Gates, Watergate.
Oh, yeah. No, Nixon.
Nixon went to China.
Yeah.
Went to China and built things, relationship, human relationship.
And the bottom line is, if you don't connect with human beings, you don't know human beings.
Right.
Hey, so I want to, listen, Maram, do you want to you can just stay on the screen. It's nice having you there and your smiling face and your cool poster.
Thank you.
And then at the end, you can add something. But I just want to say,
Okay.
you can sit down. So, one of the things, Sammy, that I feel so strongly about, I'm not naive. I'm not speaking to you. Let me actually speak to you. I'm not naive. Whatever you know about Islam and war, and Christianity and war, and Judaism and war, and so on, whatever you know, I'm almost certain that I know more. Because I've spent the last 30 years studying war and studying political economies of the world. It's what I study. I spent 30 years of my life dedicated to understanding these things. I've traveled around the world. I've been to at least 50 countries. I've met people of all ranks. I have a project with NATO and the U.S. military. I have projects with peace groups. We have projects in conflict zones around the world. And I've come to one conclusion. The vast majority of human beings, wherever I have been, do not want conflict and do not want war. And I'm surprised, always surprised when I arrive places, like when I was in Iraq, the generosity of human beings toward me because I'm an American. I know that there are people who would like to kill me because I'm an American. But they are a small, tiny fraction of the people who would rather embrace me and invite me to sit down to dinner. And it's not the fear. If I follow the fear, and if I'm always following the people who I think don't like me, then I never meet the people like you and the people like Maram. And Raphael doesn't have the experiences he had, and we won't have the experiences we have, and we will never make peace. And it's only by having those experiences that we go there.
Almost all our guests from the U.S., when it comes to reconciliation, because the program is about reconciliation, they expressed their sorrow and pain and how it was difficult for them to see the U.S. bombing Iraq, carpet bombing. And some of them breaks down, cry, and apologize. But the students, the Iraqi students, young and old, they come to the guests and tell them, hey, let's come over. Let's be over with it. Don't bring that. It's gone. Life goes on. Now we are friends. Thank you for coming. You just crossed the ocean from wherever you live and came to Iraq. That's enough. We are a friend. And I know in the past, during the Vietnam War era and later, the Americans, when they travel abroad, they hide their identity and they claim they are Canadian or European for some reason because they know the rest of the world hate wars and they don't like. They think. But in Iraq is absolutely different. And this is what it's generosity, not only when they provide you food or provide you shelter, place to sleep, or take you around, or smile all the time, take you around. No, that's not the generosity. The generosity tells you, hey, we are human beings. Let the regular relationship between brothers and sisters rises above all what happened, and we begin fresh. I think that generosity is the ultimate form of nonviolence.
Yeah. So I want to say the following piece. If you think you may have interest in, in experiencing Samy's and Maram's wait, hang on, we have 2 minutes, so I'm going to say this. In experiencing the generosity, and you might be interested, all you need is an airplane ticket. Everything else is taken care of.
And everything is covered, yeah. When you come,
we
no
have
penny spent
but
from
your
your
parents,
side.
we have flyers. We have some flyers that I can put you in contact with them, but I also have some pamphlets here. Secondly, Samy's going to be in Pond all day tomorrow if you'd like to talk to him. And he and I are going out to dinner right now, probably maybe like at 7. if anyone says, hey, I'm actually really interested in getting to know this guy and you want to come to dinner with us, I'm not sure where we're going to go, just come down and we'll tell you. Hey, in the meantime, wait, one final thing. Maram,
Yeah.
thank you. And one day I'd like to see
Thank
you in
you.
this classroom, okay?
Okay, thank you so much
Yeah,
for
thank
having
you.
me. Hey, Sammy, good job.
All right.
You're amazing.